1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go 31 Days of Horror. Day 31. Here we are at the end of things, and with me for this final episode are my parents, Gerald and Patricia Lopez. Welcome to the show, folks.
Hello. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. This is Three Wolf Lopez.
The movie we're talking about is Wolf from 1994, not to be confused with Wolf from 2021, which somebody did when they were trying to find it.
Yeah.
It is directed by Mike Nichols. It is 125 minutes in color. The budget was $70 million. The box office was $131 million. It stars Jack Nicholson as Will Randall, Michelle Pfeiffer as Laura Alden, James Spader as Stuart Swinton, Kate Nelligan as Charlotte Schuyler Randall, Richard Jenkins as Detective Sergeant Carl Bridger, Christopher Plummer as Raymond Alden, Eileen Atkins as Mary, David Hyde Pierce as Roy McAllister, Om Puri as Dr. Vijav Alizaeus, Ron Rifkin as Dr. Ralph, Prunella Scales as Maud Wagons, Brian Markinson as Detective Kevin Wade, Peter Garrity as George, Bradford English as Keys, Stuart J. Zully as Gary, Thomas F. Duffy as Tom, David Schwimmer as Cop. This must have been just right before he got Friends. Allison Janney as party guest 2, Leah Chang as desk clerk. And that's all the main characters and several of the not so main characters.
Well, I had not noticed when we saw it that Mike Nichols directed it. That might explain why I was being bewildered at such big names being in what seemed like a non-mainstream film.
Uh-huh.
But if Mike Nichols was at the height of his career, it was probably easy to get all those big names.
I mean, he's done a bunch of big stuff. Let's see. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? The Graduate, Catch-22, Carnal Knowledge, Day of the Dolphin,
that was
Silkwood.
That was all around that same era, I think.
Working Girl. What year did I say this was? 94?
94.
Postcards from the Edge, Birdcage.
Yeah, he was at his
Postcards would have
height.
been right before this. Birdcage would have been right after it. So, there you go. So what did you guys think of Wolf?
Well, I think we have a milder version of Jack Nicholson. He's not as weird and wild as
Yeah, it's weird.
usual.
He's playing a werewolf, but he's kind of toned down.
It is toned down.
Which might be why I like it, because I'm not generally a fan of Jack Nicholson.
Well, except I thought the same thing for the beginning. And I thought odd casting in such a normal person role until he turned.
Right.
And then I thought, now it seems like a Nicholson role.
The reason I picked this movie for you guys is because you're big James Spader fans.
Yes,
This is pretty early in his career. He looks
Oh, he was
very
a
young.
baby.
Yeah.
A baby. I almost, being as big a fan as I am, I almost did not recognize him because he just looked like he was in high school. He was a pretty boy. Yes, I love seeing him that young. I'd never seen him that young before.
I think other than The Shining, Nicholson's not really in any horror movies or science fiction movies. This and The Shining are really the only two, what you might call genre films that he's done.
I did not care for him in that. I thought he totally went over the top.
In The Shining?
But maybe the director... I had read the book.
Yeah.
And I thought the way he portrayed the character was not in keeping with the nature of the character in the book.
Yeah, Stephen King doesn't like that version either. I
So-
think he likes the TV version better.
So I thought he was totally over the top, but that might have been the director's fault in that one. In this one, when he got bigger and weirder, it seemed totally appropriate to the character. I love this one. It's
Yeah.
now at the top of my list of your movies we've watched.
Okay.
I loved it.
The folks are way behind.
Well, because it
on
was
our-
so
watching our movies.
it was so believable. I
Yeah.
thought the idea of someone turning into a wolf was going to be such a stretch, but the way they did it in this movie, they had me. I believed
Well,
he could turn into a wolf.
And even the transformation's not really that extreme.
No.
The makeup's pretty minimal. Except then at the very end, it seems like he does completely turn into a wolf.
Right.
This is I've identified 3 basic categories that werewolf films mostly fall into. Those of you who've been listening all along will have heard this already. This is a type 1 werewolf movie.
Which is
Where-
what?
Some poor schmuck gets bit by a wolf and then has to deal with it. And they often end up dead at the end, but not always. And he is sort of a type 3 werewolf. Oh, so type 2 movie is There's a Werewolf Among Us. We got to figure out who it is. And type 3 is The Secret Lives of Werewolves, where there's a whole werewolf society and we get introduced to it and learn all its dumb rules and stuff. So there's a little smidge of Werewolf Among Us in that we don't know that James Spader is a werewolf, although if we're paying attention, we should know that he's going to be.
I did not see him get bitten.
Yeah, when he comes to see him at his apartment, he puts his hand on his shoulder as he starts up the stairs, and he turns around and bites his hand.
I totally missed the bite, so I got
Yeah.
really confused when he started getting
Okay.
wolfish. I
Yeah,
thought, when
'cause
did that happen?
It happens really quick.
Okay.
And that he turns into kind of a type 3 werewolf, but then a type 1 at the end. So type 1 is you're just a wolf. Type 2 is you're a really big wolf, like an unnaturally big wolf. And then type 3 is a wolf man, a bipedal walking around wolf man.
Well, I had a sense of by the end he had triumphed.
Yeah.
Even though he was no longer his original self, he seemed triumphant.
And it looks like Michelle Pfeiffer's turning into a wolf at the end, too.
Yeah.
Is that just because they had sex? I don't think he bit her.
Wasn't sure about that. What did you think, Jerry?
I didn't see any bite or anything like
But
that.
the doctor did say that sometimes you don't have to be bitten. So I think just being around, if you just sort of have the wolf inside of you.
The intimate contact.
Yeah. So it may just be being around him and being with him. Though, I mean, she did get thrown around a lot. There was a wolf fight. So I'm not sure if James Spader bit her during that whole thing.
Possibly.
But if so, then she started changing pretty quick.
So, Jerry, you're a Spader fan also. What did you think of him in this role?
Well, I liked him. I didn't see the usual Spader twitching and the way he turns his mouth and things like that. So it was totally different Spader.
Yeah. He's very young. He's playing a jerk. He's really the bad guy in the movie.
Was this from a book or was it an original screenplay?
No, I don't think so.
Because it seemed kind of original.
It is by Jim Harrison and Wesley Strick, and there's nothing here about it being based on a book. It does say Jim Harrison left the production because of creative differences with Mike Nichols.
Interesting.
Claiming, this is very snooty, I wanted Dionysian, but he wanted Apollonian.
But he wanted what?
Apollonian. Apollo-ish.
Okay.
He took my wolf and made it into a chihuahua. I cracked up for 10 minutes and then went out to the country and stood in front of a wolf den and apologized while my dog hid under the truck. Following his experience with the film, Harrison decided to leave Hollywood. Well,
Wow.
goodness.
That's extreme response.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's damn. Way to go, Mike Nichols. Drove this guy out of Hollywood.
Wow.
So, any other moments? Oh, there was something that stood out to me that I saw this in the theater when it was new.
Yeah.
And there was a particular line that has stayed with me all this time. His wife is having an affair. Jack Nicholson's wife is having an affair with James Spader. And he moves into a hotel and she comes and tries to apologize to him and tells him it meant nothing. And he says, that's supposed to make it better that you betrayed our marriage for nothing?
No, yeah, that makes it worse.
So that idea has always stuck with me. Like, that's not really a very good excuse.
Yeah, it'd be a little more understandable if I just couldn't help myself. I fell in love.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's still not great, but to tell me
But
I
to
did
say
it all
it
for
meant
nothing.
nothing, almost said their relationship meant nothing.
Yeah. So, any other moments or elements that stood out to you?
I can't think of anything.
You're not contributing enough. What about, did you like Michelle Pfeiffer?
Just a typical Michelle Pfeiffer role. I mean, didn't do anything
Well, it
spectacular.
was pretty early in her career.
Yeah,
Well, I think it was her job to look attractive.
Yes.
yeah, the eye candy bit.
Yeah.
It was not her job to do a impressive acting performance, but she was believable.
Let me see what she was doing around this time. Well, she'd already been in Fabulous Baker Boys and Dangerous Liaisons and Batman Returns, and
I think she was mainly pretty lady
Grease,
roles
too.
at the beginning.
yeah.
She's done some far more challenging things the last few
Lady
years.
Hawk.
I saw her in something recently that I can't remember the name, that she was just acting her rear end off.
Okay. This was a recent movie?
Yeah. Well,
Was
I
it-
saw it recently.
Was it Ant-Man?
No.
So yeah, this is she's well into her career at this point. So she's been cast in this because she's a big name.
Well, she's capable of really
well as
good
being
acting.
pretty.
She just has been cast more for her appearance more often, I think. Well, I put it at the top of my list. What about you, Jerry? Where do you put it?
I'm pretty, yeah, pretty
Okay.
much on top.
So
yeah.
we can give it a rating now. We're using a moon phase scale this year.
Okay.
So it's still a 5-point scale. So it's new moon, quarter, half, 3/4, or full moon. What are you going to give Wolf?
I don't know if I'll ever give the full to anything, but as close as I can get, what would 4.5 be?
Okay, well that would be 3/4 and a little bit
Three-quarter
more.
moon?
A little bit more than 3/4.
Something would have to be perfect for me to give it the highest rating.
Okay,
But this is the best
so
I've seen
7/8.
of these. Yes. Well, a lot of it had to do with the casting. Part of it was the storyline, but there were so many really good actors, and their characters were very believable.
Mhm.
There wasn't a slacker in the bunch.
Okay,
I would give it a full moon.
full moon.
Yeah.
Okay,
Really?
Yeah.
You surprised me as you didn't act that enthusiastic.
all right.
Oh.
I think. Well, as far as werewolf movies go, I think it deserves a full moon. Just movies in general, I'd give it 3/4. So it just depends on how you're.
Haven't
looking at it.
seen enough werewolf movies to really compare.
Well, you're lucky. I mean, it's pretty standard format, but he does survive at the end, so that's good.
Yes.
Oh, I think I hinted at this, but I didn't. It implies at the end that he has just become fully wolf.
Yes. That final picture of him as a
Yeah.
full wolf at the end, I believe that's what he was supposed to be, was a full wolf.
And the thing that bit him was a full wolf. It wasn't a wolf man.
Right.
It was a full wolf.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression he would keep functioning as a werewolf. I thought he was just going to be a wolf, only
Just stay
killing when
wolf.
he needed to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole thing about nobody actually says the word werewolf in this movie.
Right.
They just talk about him turning into a wolf.
That's the part I thought would appeal to you, Jerry, since wolf is your spirit animal.
That's right. Also, our family man name comes from the lupus,
Yeah.
which means wolf.
So we're the family of the wolves.
Yes.
We're the wolves.
He's always embraced the image of the wolf as a
Right.
spirit animal.
But he talks about being sort of possessed by the wolf is how he's thinking about it. And the doctor that he goes to talk to, not a medical doctor, a sort of doctor of folklore or philosophy or something, talks about the wolf being inside of him and struggling against it. So it does seem more like, although he does do the transforming.
So more like the wolf possessed him and then consumed him, and thus he became the wolf.
So it's not a steady transformation. He does go back and forth at first. And there's times when he goes out and does a thing and then doesn't remember it. But there's other times where he's like talking to people when he's in his semi-wolf form. And it seems like he's conscious and aware of what he's doing and not in a full animal instinct. No, but then he doesn't remember that part. Yeah, and when he confronts the thugs in the park,
Yeah.
he does speak words, but then later he's forgotten about it because he when he finds the fingers he bit off of somebody,
Oh,
he's
that's
surprised about it.
I didn't get that at first, whose fingers they were, until they.
Yeah, it was one of the guys from the park.
Yeah, they didn't really make that clear till later.
But apparently he didn't actually kill those guys. I think the only one that kills somebody is James Spader when he kills the wife that he's having an affair with. There's this whole publishing thing. The story, which is weird. There's this whole thing. Jack Nicholson works for a publishing company and it's being taken over and he might be getting tossed out
Yeah.
or demoted. And there's this whole struggle between him and James Spader. And that even seems to be Spader's motivation for murdering the wife, is to put suspicion on
Could
Jack
have been.
Nicholson.
I wonder if this movie was responsible for advancing Spader's career a good bit. He looks so young, he must have just been starting out. This may have been what led to bigger roles.
I'll see where this was in his career. Just give me a
Unless he was already established, but he looked pretty young to be
I
established.
think he did some stuff when he was pretty young.
The movie he's most famous for that he did early in his career is called The Secretary. And it was almost porno.
I don't know that one.
But it's on the respectable list. It's considered to be a regular movie. But when I first saw it, I was like, whoa,
Okay.
that's a mainstream movie?
Well, he was in Endless Love in 81. Teammates. His first thing was Teammates in 78. Killer Family, Star-Crossed, Tough Turf, New Kids, Pretty in Pink. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did some teen stuff. Less Than Zero. Robert Downey Jr.'s in that one.
I did not realize he was performing in his
Yeah, he'd already
teens.
done a bunch of teen stuff.
Well, I didn't discover
He was
him
in Bob
until
Roberts,
Secretary.
True Colors. You sure that's him? I don't see that here. Is that later? Yes, that's 2002. So that's after this. He was an Alien Hunter. So he was pretty far into his career by the time he did this, from
But this sort of led to more of a trend.
78 to 94.
This was more of a transition movie from teen movies to grown-up movies.
I think so.
It seems like.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's
this
fair.
is definitely not him as a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
Which was
So-
good for him, because a lot of teenage stars fizzle out and don't make it as adults.
Right. So now he's doing TV. Last movie he was in was Voice of Ultron in Age of Ultron. But that might be because he was doing Blacklist for 10 years.
Yeah.
I did not realize that had been on so long.
And before that, well, Blacklist just ended a year or two ago. And before that, he had that long time on Boston Legal.
That was only 4 years.
Really?
2004 to 2008.
Well, my memory fails me. I thought it lasted several years.
Nope. So there you go. All right, folks, that is going to wrap it up for 31 Days of Horror.
Well, that was fun.
We will be back with a regular episode next week. We will be doing Godzilla from 1998, and we have some special guests lined up for that episode. Please rate and review us on all the apps and things where you listen to your podcasts. Check out our webpage at mmftg.com. And consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/mmftg. We are giving our patrons an opportunity to pick movies for us to review. But if we somehow end up with too many patrons, we'll have to move to a nominate and vote situation. But right now, it's a manageable number. So join up and make us watch something. Until next time, I have been Precious D. Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements. Please do not misuse science. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texicano Folk Rock Punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/mmftg.